Thanks for tuning into GH Talk. The new year is upon us, and before we get there, I wanted to discuss my final thoughts on General Hospital as a whole in 2018. These are just things that I can think of off the top of my head that have stuck with me from beginning of the year until now. I'm going to start with JSM and the triangle that cried wolf. There were a number of interviews that Shelley Altman did this year telling readers that there was indeed a triangle going on between Jason, Sam, and Drew. Where, I don't know, because viewers like myself never witnessed it. Shelley Altman would say what Sam's feeling, how she was struggling, told us that Drew was indeed an obstacle keeping JSM from reuniting. Drew hasn't been involved with whatever is going on between Jason and Sam since the night he walked out on Sam. Come to think of it, neither man has done anything to actually fight for the woman he loves. Carly yelled at Jason to fight for Sam, but he teared up, shrugged it off his shoulders, and said it's her choice, which is why this story has been a failure. There's nothing about it that screams desire, passion, betrayal. The focus was heavily on Sam and her choice, which was a mistake. ABC needs to fire these non-creative ass writers in order to get some juice flowing into the veins of this soap, because this ain't it. We're going into 2019 with the same staff who will produce the same results, yet there are folks somehow believing things will get better on this show. Even in my last live stream, I kept saying, well, hopefully they'll do this or that. Hopefully they'll improve. No freaking way. Save that kind of miracle for the church, honey, because it ain't happening on this soap. I'm so mad about this story, most of all because I looked forward to seeing certain scenes and dialogue that never took place. I was invested in the outcome regardless of what couple ended up together. Yes, I am a Jason and Sam fan, but I prefer to follow story. That's how I fell in love with them in the first place, because they weren't just slapped with each other. The story brought them together. Since there's no story, just big gaps between scattered moments, I'm like many other JSM fans who are frustrated yet swooning at the breadcrumbs the writers toss at us. It wasn't until the following day after their nice scenes that I realized sharing 3 kisses in one episode shouldn't be the most action that Sam and Jason has had since she confessed that she was still in love with him 10 months ago. Sam and Jason should have screwed each other to the moon and back that night of the earthquake. Instead, we have Sam backing off to do the right thing. This is a soap opera. I don't want to see you do the right thing. It's boring, and Sam's coochie kingdom has been shut up ever since. Why did she have to power down after their kiss on New Year's Eve? I would have chosen getting dick down over a charity event any day. This has been, oh my goodness, the most tired and disappointing triangle theory I've watched. Jason and Sam will get back together, however, I'm certain it won't live up to or exceed the expectations that I have, because none of this story involving them thus far has, and my feelings are somewhat not all the way there and invested like I would like them to be because of the value and the quality of this story. I've decided to toss up the white flag when it comes to Drew and his flash drive. The character himself never cared much about it. It was other people who were searching for it for him. Margot had to force it into his hand. Now he knows where it is, he has it, and let it be done. So much potential squandered, and it doesn't make sense as to why. It's to the point that fans are wondering if the actor is the one who's miserable in his scenes instead of the character he's playing. Plus, there is no chemistry between Drew and Kim. She and Oscar need to go. Leave. Kim has done nothing for Drew's story. Outside of that, all she has is Julian, and that's about to be over. Oscar's illness was never taken seriously, especially by the character who looks like he's been suffering from a bad stomach ache for the past 3 months. The show had no intention of killing him off, which is why this story didn't feel real. When Oscar's finally released from the hospital, they both need to die in a car crash. Peter August needs to be the driver in the other car who's killed on impact. You see that? 3 useless characters, 1 collision. Heinrich Faison should not exist, and the story of his conception has turned the stomach of many. And the fact that Maxie's on course to have sex with her brother-in-law, who faced little to no effort in gaining her affections, has also turned off some. Nathan's funeral was tastefully done, and Kirsten Storms did a wonderful job with scenes surrounding his death. However, Dante Falconeri was quickly ushered off screen to join the WSB. No heartfelt goodbyes from anyone other than Lulu. I'm glad he did come back for the What If episode because he was truly the best and only good good part about it. Bringing it back to Peter, the man was stuck in a cabin until the very end of summer with Dr. O. Their time together should have happened off screen. Fans were begging for that fake snake to bite the life out of Peter. The worst part was watching this man who couldn't act his way out of a bed even if he wasn't strapped to it. My husband was watching it with me and said he felt embarrassed by his acting and how he delivered his lines as though he was performing the work of Shakespeare. I enjoyed the reopening of Luke's Club that was done in celebration of GH's 55 years on air. Sonny did it in order to help Mike out. Mike's story is the best story the show has had all year, which lets us know they're capable of quality writing material. However, the story has moved beyond its expiration date. It needs to end soon in 2019. Seeing all of Liz's kids this year has been great, with Cameron being my favorite. His chemistry with Jocelyn is so much better than that with her and Oscar. I want them to go in that direction instead. I wanted to see more of Liz's family members. At the beginning of the year, Franco was interested in finding Jeff Weber, yet nothing ever came of it. Bring back Hayden. By the way, Margot was totally miscast and should have been Sarah Weber, but no, we got a very predictable outcome with the actress as DA, now practically kissing Sonny's nuts, not providing any new challenges for Sonny and Carly. Though Nell Benson did make most of Carly's year a living hell. I love Nell and how messy she is. The thing about that story is that it too went beyond its expiration date. And in order to drag out the story, characters involved lost their common sense and the use of their critical thinking skills. On top of that, it's evolved into a baby swap that fans begged not to have, as it's been done to death on soaps. The most painful part of the story for me was Michael, who can be such an idiot. He finally gained some sense towards the very end of Nell's reign, but he's still just as boring. Nell made Michael Corinthos relevant this year. Jocelyn came through though for us and served up a beatdown that Nell deserved, which is arguably one of my favorite moments this year. The run for mayor between Ned, Laura, and then Alexis was a letdown. Laura couldn't continue running because the actress was fired. Thankfully, that poor decision was corrected with Jeannie Francis making her return recently. I thought it was a fantastic idea to have Ned and Alexis run against each other since they shared so much history. I had envisioned them taking shots at each other, displaying dirt that they had on one another at a public debate or something. We didn't even see Alexis' campaign at all. Everyone was gathered together watching the results within weeks, while I'm wondering why other stories on the show don't move as fast. Laura running against Ned again is pointless because there's nothing that Ned is doing so badly that Port Charles needs Laura. It's a distraction put in place by Ryan. I ship the heck out of Ryan and Ava. Those two had me screaming with their slick remarks towards Carly recently. I'm ready for the fallout of her finding out the truth. I want to see these two killers go head to head, with Ava crushing Ryan's neck for making a fool out of her. However, Ryan sucks as a serial killer. He hasn't killed enough of the right people. He's killed two nobodies and one contract player who was leaving anyway. During Ryan's original reign of terror, he clearly didn't kill anyone of importance. Whenever you hear about it, it's always Felicia and Ryan's victims. I never had any faith that they would properly use Ryan to downsize the very bloated GH cast. Maybe they don't want to be responsible for sending too many people to the unemployment line. The reality is you can't keep everybody. General Hospital is suffering because of it. They're unable to give adequate time and attention to each and every one of these characters. Take Alexis, for instance, who has been a footnote in the romantic relationships of Julian and Kim, of Finn and Anna. Will they ever continue the story about her mother and the Cassadines? They've dropped so many plots this year, it's ridiculous. I'm almost certain that the random reporter guy was Ryan's last victim, or at least that Kiki will be the last contract player who dies. Which brings me to my next point. Ryan should have killed both Kiki and Griffin. Kill him. And doing a rewrite to make him Anna's rightful son won't change my opinion. The character is empty and irrelevant. His only story this year was being Ava and Kiki's boyfriend. Now he's mourning his last girlfriend's death like they were married for 12 years with two kids named Paul and Sydney. Since Ryan's a lame-ass killer who won't sacrifice the useless for the greater good, Griffin can be a witness to the accident that kills Kim, Oscar, and Peter, with him being engulfed in the flames of one of the cars exploding. Moments later, the brakes goes out on the ambulance rushing to the scene scene running over both Chase and Jordan pretending to investigate. Bam! 6 people, 2 collisions. Since Chase has joined the cast, he's brought nothing but his good looks, which we have enough of. There was potential between him and Nell that was short-lived. Jordan is simply an idiot, like for real. I would like for the show to hire folks that know how to write for black people. It's truly not that difficult. Frizz should have gotten married before Jordan and Curtis. As a matter of fact, I don't see the point as to why they got married at all. They have nothing going on for themselves. Sean should have gotten out of prison and brought drama to the wedding. I did like the escape room concept that took place, but it was out of season and should have been much scarier since there's an actual killer on the loose, you know? I did enjoy Jason being a father to his sons, though I have to say that Jake calling him dad seemed to be sudden. Like, what happened off screen for that to now be a thing? I do wish he could have hooked up with some other woman since Sam's playing the blue ball medley on his ass. There were plenty of opportunities for Jarly to happen. Jarly fans want it, but J. Sam and Carson shippers are not for that idea and believe it's ludicrous for such a thing to happen. As a fan of both couples, I have mixed feelings. However, I wouldn't be mad if they tried it. Other than that, I could have done without Kiki's Me Too story and that Dollar Tree earthquake, aka a daytime event. They label just about everything a daytime event when it's not. And there's more that could be said about the show this past year. However, I'm just going off the top of my head and thinking of things that left a lasting impression upon me up until this point. The bottom line is, and Alan said it best, we just want stories with a beginning, middle, and end. Get up, get in, get out. Be consistent. There are serious issues with continuation of major stories, not only the ones that are suddenly dropped. Make it make sense by remembering what you wrote in the first place. For example, Sonny said that when he showed up to Scully's, Victor Marino's body was already wrapped up and waiting to be buried. Then without warning, they changed it to Sonny actually having killed the guy, and fans were confused. They treat the viewers as though we lack common sense like the characters they write for. Anna sexually assaulting Faison is disgusting. That's a rewrite y'all could have kept. What happened to Patients 1 through 5? That should have been a story that both Jason and Drew could have got pulled into together instead of Jason saving Carly from Ferncliff and Drew. I don't even remember what Drew did this summer. Stop missing key points of progression within a story. The writers are so busy trying to remember the characters they write for that they miss important moments or milestones that should take place in order to have stories move forward or to give them emotional value. I've said plenty of times, and it's been echoed by many of my fellow GH fans, the writing, pacing, and bloated cast is what's killing the show, especially the lack of creativity. Soap Hop posted an article earlier this month asking if the GH cast was too big, with many agreeing and some even suggesting that they'd be okay with the cast if those who were added actually served a purpose that elevated the show instead of weighing it down. There was also a poll on Twitter about the newest character Willow, who has already made it into the show's title screen after debuting this fall. The question was in reference to her romantic pairing, with 69% of us voting and making it clear that we don't care. And why should we care? We don't know her. Not only that, but pairing her with Michael or Chase won't make her the least bit interesting, since both of those characters have nothing to brag about, except for Michael, who is a legacy character, and even so, he is still boring. And I repeat, Janelle Benson made Michael Corinthos relevant. We are not going to see the change that we want on our soap unless the writers themselves change or they are removed. Then you have to wonder who could take over and whip this show into shape. Alright, I'm done. Please leave a comment below and let me know what your thoughts are on GH this past year. Have a happy and safe new year. As always, thank you so much for watching. Until next time, GHers, take care.